And it's 2 o'clock. The date is January 24th, and we are calling this session to order. And we're going to start today with a presentation from ASME. You guys can go ahead and come forward. Welcome.
Thank you guys for allowing us the opportunity to address you today. I'm Heidi. I'm our ASME 1789 president, and I have worked for the city for 17 years now. And I currently work in the building department.
I'm Crystal King. I'm the vice president of our union, and I have worked for the city for 15 years. I am currently serving as the city's communications officer.
I'm Jenny Dimshow. I'm the secretary treasurer for the union, and I've worked for the city for just under 10 years. I work in the community development and planning department. And we are here on behalf of our ASME Local 1789. We represent the city of St. Helens union workers from the Public Works Department, the Public Library, the St. Helens Recreation, Parks Division, Engineering Division, Courts, Utility Building, Planning, Administration, and Community Development.
Our workers are the backbone of many of the essential services that the city provides. We are critical to protecting the health and safety of the St. Helens community. We offer resources and services that assist our most underserved community members. We are also a crucial part of the economic health and development of St. Helens. We provide healthy drinking water that is always available, no matter what time of day or night or day of the year. We ensure that harmful chemicals, viruses, and bacteria are removed. This is one of the most essential public health services that governments provide, preventing disease, respiratory illness, and death in the community. We invite you to pause for a moment to truly appreciate this vital service. How many times today have you taken for granted the ability to turn a faucet on for immediate access to reliable, safe water? What would you do if you suddenly didn't have access to that water? How would that impact your day? Two of the three of us that are sitting up here at this table right now can tell you what happens when there is a water supply failure, because we have worked here when it happened. In 2009, a major water main break required the city to issue a boil water notice that impacted the city's entire service area. This meant that we had to tell the community that their tap water was not safe to use without first properly boiling it until testing could take place to ensure that harmful contaminants had not backwashed into our water system and made the water unsafe to use. For 24 hours, City Hall received so many calls from concerned residents that our phone system could not handle the incoming call volume. We had to call on every employee who could answer a phone to stop what they were doing and triage phone calls and customers walking into City Hall, including the city administrator. We had healthcare providers calling us wanting to know what to do. We had community members who were on dialysis and medically vulnerable calling us. We had to tell the school district that their students who were currently in school needed to immediately stop drinking water from the water fountains. Bottled water was quickly sold out of grocery stores in town. This is the impact of the work that our members provide for this community.
We also provide treatment of all residential, commercial, and industrial wastewater. Safe treatment and discharge of wastewater is another critical component of protecting public health and our environment. It's another one of the essential services that our members provide and something that is used by every member of the community without thought multiple times a day. We also provide maintenance of our city's transportation infrastructure so that the community can safely travel on roads, access goods and services, as well as get to work and access essential services such as medical care, and so that emergency services providers can safely and quickly arrive where help is needed most.
We provide emergency service response to natural and man-made disasters or other issues. Our members clear down trees from roads, plow streets during snowstorms, unfreeze frozen water meter boxes for residents, supply sandbagging stations, materials during flooding, clear catch basins and deploy sump pumps for location-specific flooding, assist with proper road closure signage and barricades during major events, and communicate emergency life-saving information to the public. During recent flooding in December 2023, our public works crews came in at 2 a.m. to respond to homes that were flooding and then staffed a regular workday. Just this weekend, our public works crews came in to plow and sand roads and ensure essential travel continued. Our members also work on an extreme weather event group made up of coordinating government agencies and local organizations. We work collaboratively to activate resources and communicate about cooling centers and warming shelters so that vulnerable community members of our community have access to life-saving options during extreme weather events.
We also provide grant writing and grant administration so that the city can afford projects and services that are beyond the limits of our budget. In the last year, our union members assisted the city in securing over $4 million in grants that are being used to address critical system capacity improvements, waterfront redevelopment projects, updating our transportation systems plan, and an expansion to honor our U.S. veterans in McCormick Park.
We provide access to computers and the internet and assistance with job searches and resume writing for underserved community members to assist them in securing gainful employment.
We provide after-school care for children whose families do not have access to other childcare services, giving families an affordable childcare option so that they can have the ability to work.
We provide technical and civil engineering services to address current water, sewer, stormwater, and transportation needs for our city and plan for future growth. Our members assisted in securing grant funding and engineering services for the Columbia Boulevard Sidewalk and Bike Lane project, which was recently completed and allows school-aged children to safely walk and bike to school.
We provide park maintenance so that the community has local access to safe and attractive places to play outdoors. This provides free recreation amenities to our community that makes St. Helens a place where people want to live.
We provide test proctoring to assist community members in furthering their education and certifications locally.
Our members also provide early literacy skills development so our youngest community members are exposed to the essential literacy concepts, which are proven to have a critical impact on a person's success in school and in life.
We provide frontline services. We keep the doors open and staffed at nearly every facility open to the public, providing first line assistance at City Hall, Public Works, and the library.
We provide municipal court services so that victims of crimes receive justice and our community feels secure that people will be held accountable for the crimes which they commit.
These are just a few of the examples of the ways that our AFSCME Local 1789 membership makes St. Helens a healthy and safe place to live and a city where our community can thrive. For all the people sitting behind us today, we wish we could take the time right now to share all of the ways that you impact this community and express the full value that each of you bring to your jobs. Thank you for what you do.
Now we'd like to move on and address some statements that were made at the Wednesday, January 3rd City Council work session related to our members specifically. To summarize, it was said that because AFSCME union members, specifically Public Works, were not coming before the council and asking you for additional funding, that our services and our programs are being sufficiently funded and that we are fine. This is not true. Many of our members do not feel supported. Our union attempts to address issues behind the scenes through avenues such as labor management meetings. Rather than coming before the city council, we strive to have a collaborative relationship with management. In 2023, our union officers initiated and held 11 of these labor management meetings to discuss the issues amongst our membership with our managers. We continue to strive to have that collaborative relationship, and we don't come to city council to address our concerns unless we feel that we've reached a complete impasse.
It was mentioned at the January 3rd meeting that Public Works has expanded positions over the last several years. We would like to address this as it concerns union positions specifically. An engineering 1 position was created that currently sits unfilled due to budget shortfalls. 2 Public Works Utility Worker 1 positions also remain unfilled and are unlikely to be filled due to the budget. 1 mechanic position sits unfilled after a recent retirement. The Parks Department is down 1 utility worker position. Wastewater treatment plant and the water filtration facility combined services recently. And while this provided an efficiency of services at cost savings for the city, it reduced Public Works ASME positions in those divisions from 4 to 2 employees, which is down from the 2008 operations of 6 total represented employees. DEQ requires 4 positions just at the wastewater treatment plant in order to treat wastewater and discharge into the Columbia River. We are not currently meeting that requirement. This is a total loss of 6 vacant or unfilled positions in Public Works in the last 6 years alone.
In other areas, ASME has 1 vacant building inspector position and 1 makerspace specialist position that are not being filled. There are also 2 positions within the library who are unable to obtain their earned promotions. We have been told that due to the budget shortfalls, part of the future cost-saving options are layoffs, furloughs, and leaving additional vacant positions unfilled, and early attrition in our membership. In addition to these 8 unfilled vacant positions discussed, we're still facing the possibility of losing as many as 6 additional members through layoffs and early retirements. This includes 2 ARPA-funded positions, 1 in parks and 1 in recreation. And for those members who are left, furloughs are still possible. Many of us are at minimum staffing levels in these departments already. These losses over the last few years have been compounding, and they have left daily operational staff in incredibly difficult situations to cover the amount of work required for the positions. We cannot bear any further loss of staffing without it affecting service levels and operation hours.
All of that said, we want to be very clear. We are not here today asking for more bodies or even more funding. We're here to say that just because we do not address you as the city council at meetings does not mean that we are fully staffed, supported in our crucial roles. Our members have already quietly stepped up to the plate to cover these workloads due to the unfilled positions. We anticipate having to do that even more in the coming years. We do this simply out of necessity. We do this knowing that members in several of our divisions are usually the first to be impacted by layoffs because their jobs do not entail immediate health, life, and safety services.
In addition to staffing, we would like to address the comments that were made about all of our projects and services being funded. Public Works is deferring or delaying purchase of equipment due to lack of funds. In previous years, there was an equipment schedule for replacing equipment and vehicles for Public Works operations, wastewater, water, parks, and engineering. It was a capital improvement line item in the budget for equipment that was earmarked for needed replacements. That line item has been significantly reduced in recent budget years to levels which do not adequately replace aging essential Public Works equipment prior to their failure. In the last 3 years, purchases for a Public Works water truck, a street sweeper, a backhoe, a Public Works truck, a wastewater treatment plant truck, an engineering inspector truck, and a Parks Department mower have all been deferred. Our members are using faulty and aging equipment to provide basic services to the citizens of St. Helens. It puts our overworked members at risk. It also puts the community at risk when we have to rely on aging equipment during emergencies. It reduces the quality of service that we provide to our community. In addition, the longer that these equipment purchases are deferred, the more difficult it becomes to sustainably budget for their replacement in future years.
In addition to equipment deferrals due to an insufficient budget, you've also seen recent reduction in the scope of work for the Riverwalk project, a reduction of the streets and utilities extension project to the base bid, and needing to prioritize only the most critical infrastructure capacity issues in our sewer system while other infrastructure projects go unfunded. These critical projects are being addressed now because there is a current danger of our sewer system backflowing into homes. Meanwhile, other infrastructure projects which have been identified as deficient must wait due to lack of funding until they reach the same critical level. We will never be able to adequately plan for growth and attract development and living wage employers to this community if all we do is defer infrastructure projects to save money and wait to address only the areas that are at critical capacity.
When we first requested to be put on the agenda to be able to address you today, we did so the week of January 3rd with the council meeting statements that were made in mind. Since then, the city has held 2 other public meetings in which several deeply disappointing comments have been made. We would like to express our distaste for these comments made by the St. Helens Police Association at the January 10th special session, to which some of the city council agreed with at that meeting. These statements, they have real implications for our members, but we're not going to sit here and respond with insults towards other departments. When budget decisions become tough, it's easy to pit one department against another, one project over another.
We believe that all positions are vital to the operation and livability of the city, including the police. Comments that are made about one department being more important than another department and having that sentiment affirmed by the council are deeply disappointing to the staff that sits behind us today, who works day in and day out to provide essential services to this community. You cannot have a functioning, thriving city without the work that the people here today perform. The city is a team. We all have value. You can have the most beautiful streetscapes in the nation, but if you don't fund the police, it won't matter. You can have the best funded police force in the world, and it won't matter if you don't have infrastructure to meet the needs of the community. Parks, library, and recreation services make this a community where people want to live, spend their money and time, and invest economically. We all matter in different ways. No one who works at the city should have to hear a coworker or counselor say that they matter less than anyone else.
We strive to work collaboratively with all divisions. So we would like to share a recent demonstration of this. City engineering staff met with the police department to put together a plan to convert a portion of the recreation facility into at least 4 police department office spaces, a meeting room, a kitchen lunch area with secured access doors, and additional requirements. The recreation division gave up the space. Engineering staff worked with the building official and the planning department to submit the required plans to obtain a building permit for the office retrofit. Our members did this at a cost-saving courtesy for the police department, knowing that there was a huge need. A consultant would have charged a premium price for the development of these plans. Public Works obtained the materials and did a fantastic job during construction. A private contractor would have charged a premium to do this job. Our members did it because we support the work that the police provides to this community. Due to the efforts and sacrifice of Public Works, engineering, recreation, building, planning, and public works operations, our members were able to complete the project cost effectively. This is just one example of our members stepping up to help another department in need during tough times. The disparaging remarks made at the special session about the value of our members and the work that they do is a complete disappointment in light of our efforts to collaborate and support.
We're here to say that we understand. We understand that the city does not have enough revenue to address the budget challenges of every single department. I'll say it again, we understand that. However, we are making this statement today in order to communicate an important message. AFSCME Local 1789 doesn't feel supported by statements made by the city council and we are greatly impacted by the existing and future budget shortfalls. We have described a few ways in which the budget shortfalls impact our ability to provide the essential services that our members perform. But we would encourage you all, as our city council, to ask questions of your department heads, your division heads, to discuss unmet needs further. We are also asking you to talk to the line staff, the people who are out in the field daily. Visit their locations. Learn firsthand about the work that they do in service to this community. It's your responsibility as our city council to gain a broad understanding of the city's needs as a whole before making far-reaching budgetary decisions. The decisions you are making right now, they're not contained in a vacuum. Increases in one area of the general fund have ripple effects in other areas. We ask the council to approach these decisions and future budgetary decisions with a broad perspective. And especially with the essential services that the city provides as a whole. I also want to just turn your attention to your mission statement, which states, the City of St. Helens' mission is to provide quality, effective, and efficient services to our citizens. Develop and preserve the highest possible quality of life for our residents, business, and visitors. Provide a safe and healthy environment within sound economic framework. Provide leadership which is open and responsive to the needs of the community and works for the benefit of all. We thank you for your time. We thank you for allowing us to be able to address our concerns today. We do have some individual members who would like to make some statements. We're going to invite them up individually, and at the conclusion of their statements, we will come back to the table for any questions or comments.
Okay, I'll go first. It's my statement right now. Hi, council. Okay. I would hope that the city council would want to have a clear understanding of how the city as a whole works. It seems most of you are not educated on the functions and needs of the departments they liaison and how those departments fit into the cycle of services that are provided to our community. Health and safety are definitely important and play a huge and vital role in our community, but the city budget should never have been turned into a who is most important conversation. Each department adds value to the city of St. Helens. As mentioned in the union report, each department offers services to our citizens that help create a community that is livable, businesses that are thriving, and citizens that are engaged. As liaisons for your different departments, it's your job to know about them. You're supposed to be educated on their projects, their budgets, and their staffing needs. As a voted in or appointed city council member, it's your responsibility to make the time to not only listen to the highlight reel that you receive at council meetings, but to also stop by the different departments, talk to the employees, educate yourself on the happenings, the good and the bad, and then to share that information with your fellow council members and citizens. To hear city council members make openly biased comments in favor of one department over another is extremely disheartening as an employee and as a citizen. It leads me to believe that you are not representing your community as a whole. If you are thinking to yourself right now, that's not me, I would challenge you to think back at how many times you have stepped into a city parks building, the library, a public works building, our court, or even a city hall to see someone other than John. To hear a counselor state that just because we are not in front of you means we don't need anything is so wrong. We feel like stacking a room with friends and family could be perceived as trying to politically pressure you into making a decision, and it's unfair to every other department that has needs here. But since that is the message you are so loudly proclaiming from the dais, here we are. Ask me, 58% of your staff. We stand here before you saying that we have infrastructure that is at failure capacity right now that impacts your constituents. We're short-staffed in every department and we're still facing layoffs and furloughs. We have crisis level budget needs. We work with outdated and old equipment with a replacement schedule that's been removed. We have departments that are being pitted against each other with council member agreement. You are failing to make decisions that impact the livelihoods of the people that work for you and that provide these essential services for your community. This is supposed to be a professional environment where no one should have to come before the city council to defend their position or their department. We should be able to trust you as our leaders to make educated and balanced decisions for the city as a whole. You are supposed to be the embodiment of what good governance looks like. Your statements have impacts on all of us. Your silence directly affects those who are working for you. You should be speaking the truth. You should be shutting down bullying and not participating in it. You should be speaking up and correcting half-truths and false statements. You should be educated enough in how the city runs and the projects and issues in order to give answers to the public. And if you don't know the answers, you should be reaching out to the departments and your staff to give you those answers. I know all of you have a passion for our city, and you are elected to make the hard decisions. But those decisions should not be made before you gather all of the information from all sides. Your political reputation should not outweigh the importance of a balanced city, and I would encourage you to be careful how quickly you make biased statements. I hope moving forward you will work together to get educated, to be informed, and to make well-balanced decisions for all the departments as a whole, because that's what's best for your community.
Hi, my name is Cameron Burkhart. I'm actually going to read something on behalf of a former staff member, my Gretchen Fuller, who couldn't be here today, but really would like to. This is something that she wrote, and I'm going to read just to take for you all. Dear St. Helens City Council, my name is Gretchen Fuller, and I was a youth librarian at the St. Helens Public Library from 2016 to 2022. I'm grateful to have gotten to work for the St. Helens community for those 6 years, and I wanted to share with you some of what I saw in the library doing in, for, and with the community during that time. The people of St. Helens came to us for so many things in their lives. Folks seeking out trusted medical resources, law information for renters, landlords, and small business owners, and practical guides for starting a small farm, repairing a car, or renovating a home could all be found in a book on the shelf to help. And if they couldn't find it, staff could help them. Community members could check out hand tools, kitchen equipment, microscopes, early learning kits from the Library of Things. Over the phone, we help people locate government offices, find tax help for seniors, and figure out how to get rides for medical appointments. Community members got guidance from staff in using our computers to create resumes, apply for jobs online, review documents from the courts, and review documents from the courts. We also taught people the basics of how to use computers, set up an email address, and use their phones. We provided free test proctoring for high school and college students. We even provided critical assistance to people seeking a safe, confidential place to go for domestic violence assistance. The library is also a place where people sought refuge, whether that meant an air-conditioned building during a heat wave, a warm place to be during cold snaps, an indoor escape from wildfire smoke, a quiet place to study when home life was busy, or even a spot for a quick restroom break for families out on errands. People also found community at the library, whether that was a new mom meeting other parents of young children at story time and building a network of support, or teens finding a place to belong when they didn't feel connected at school, or homeschooling families having social events, or adults with developmental disabilities having a social experience and practicing life skills, or artists, writers, retired folks, genealogists meeting up in the library programs, any people. And some of those programs were even created by community members, and the library serves as a platform for them to grow their ideas by providing meeting room space. The meeting rooms in the building are available to the community for free to many groups and at a low cost to others, and hosted everything from condo homeowners association meetings to law firms conducting depositions to birthday parties. The library also connected with many community organizations. In my own experience as youth librarian, I brought regular early literacy experiences to local preschools, including Head Start, hosted field trips for everyone from preschool to high schools, visited schools to teach students how to do research, and provided educational activities during the school district's summer enrichment program. We also provided opportunities for students to get volunteer hours, interview staff for school assignments, and intern at the library. We provided hundreds of free educational programs every year, including weekly STEM events, as well as a summer reading program that drew hundreds of participants and helped prevent some learning loss. The library was also one of the partner organizations that brought the Dolly Parton Imagination Library to St. Helens, where children can receive free books by mail every month until their 5th birthday, with no means testing and no strings attached. Libraries in general, and the St. Helens Public Library in particular, are an essential part of the community. They provide a wide array of services and resources, many of which may not be available elsewhere, especially not for free. Folks of all kinds who live in St. Helens have so many needs met at the library, and they make use of the staff and material and services there to improve their lives and accomplish their goals. There is no doubt in my mind that the library contributes to making St. Helens a good place to live, contributing to economic development, education, and community well-being. Thank you for your time.
Are there any other Ask Me employees that want to say anything?
So then we'll invite Joe to the table. He will introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Joe Basler. I'm the Executive Director of Oregon Ask Me, and I really appreciate being able to come today. We represent the workers here and about another 37,000 folks around the state, and we're very supportive of this group and everything they've said. And I think backbone is the right word, right? You don't see it, but as soon as it's gone, you're a mess. Anytime there's any damage to that backbone, it all starts falling together. These are the folks that silently make sure that this community is the great community it is. And anytime, it feels like the only time we recognize them is when something's falling apart. And so I just want to say that we really appreciate your service to the community on the city council. We want to make sure their service is also recognized, because without it, this whole place would be a mess. So thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.
We come back to the table to ask if you have any questions, comments, or anything that you would like to address with us. Your 1789 union officers.
Does anybody have anything that's come up?
I guess would be, what are some immediate steps that can be taken? Make sure that you feel appreciated, make sure that you feel that you're being heard.
Show up in person. I think is what I have heard in talking to membership. Many of them have not seen your faces at all, anywhere other than sitting up there. I know I've talked to library staff that outside of they're using it maybe personally, they haven't had counselors come and talk to them as staff. Public Works hasn't seen counselors out at their shops, talking to them to get to know what they do. There is a feeling of a great lack of appreciation for the work that they do. And without being there in person and talking to them, that's going to continue.
And we know that each of you have individual assignments that you liaison for different departments. But we've also been told by membership that some of them have never seen you in their facilities, never had a conversation with you. I believe that having conversations with the people, I say it all the time in the front office, talk to the people who are in the trenches. Ask them what's going on. Are you supported? how can I help? How can I advocate? And I would say the next thing is before statements are made at public meetings, please make sure that they are true and accurate statements. Because the things that were said at that January 3rd meeting were not accurate. We have not had positions bolstered. We've lost positions. And that's, to me, very concerning as the council who doesn't know that, who is making budgetary decisions based off of that information.
And I would echo that, ask questions of staff when you're making budget decisions. We said in our statement that increasing areas of the general fund in some areas have ripple effects elsewhere. Ask questions.
I'm gonna make that a priority. Start visiting these things. I know that I have not. I'm, the library and some others, but, I will make that a priority. I probably will ask you for some help and asking where I need to go and who I need to talk to. I know we get the list out that's saying who's the head or, but it doesn't necessarily need to be the person in charge. I would like to talk to all those folks. And I apologize if anything that I said or implied meant that any of your jobs were less important than any other jobs, because I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way at all. And nobody should, right, nobody should feel that way. So please accept my apology. You can or you can't, that's the decision you guys can make. But there was nothing intentional about anything I think that I said that was to be derogatory towards any other department in the city. And you said it very well that, you know, you don't recognize what's going on until something happens. That was the first thing I thought about when this thing happened, because it's true. Like until we don't have water, or until there's a pothole, or whatever, you know, whatever the situation is, from the extreme to just, you know, just the pothole in the road. People don't, I mean, myself included, don't think that. And so my apologies to all of you. And I will do a better job as a counselor to communicate and get out there and learn what's going on. But thanks for bringing this to my attention.
I work with many of you guys in the building business and that sort of thing, so and not all of you, of course. And it's great to talk to, like you said, people in the trenches, literally in the trenches.
Yeah, some of them literally today.
Yeah, and you know, and engineering's on my bad side today, so so you know, we go back and forth, but it's working with you guys, and I see what you do, and I think, you know, being the new guy here, my eyes are getting more open, and but I'm asking questions.
Well, I just want to say thank you guys for coming forward. It was a really informative presentation and it was very heartfelt. I felt all of your emotions while you were speaking, so I want to say you were definitely heard by all of us. So thank you guys.
Thank you guys for your time.
So I echo everything that you said. There's no doubt in my mind that every department in the city is important. It's every department to run this city. I don't subscribe to the idea that if you support one department, that means you don't support the other. That's garbage. We're a team. We have to start acting like a team. We're not going to be able to move forward in a positive direction until we can do that. I don't know what the answer is to get there, but that's where we've got to get. I use the library on a regular basis. My kids have library cards. They go to the library a lot. In there when people need help with their resume. Somebody comes in, they need something printed, some government paperwork. They don't have a printer at home. They go to the library. Somebody needs a warm place to stay for the day, so they go out into the hallway. If you think the library, all they do is check out books, you haven't been to the library for a while. Pipe breaks, you're not going to the library, you're not going to call the police, you're going to call Public Works. If you need a place for your kid to have a birthday party or a nice softball field for your kid's baseball game, you're going to be talking to parks. Every department in this city is important and valued. And I'm sorry that you don't feel that way. I'm sorry if we contributed to that, but you are important, you are valued, and I'm going to work harder to make sure that you know that and that you feel that. Thank you for all that you do, all of you.
And I'd also like to add, I coached softball for 10 years, and I enjoyed the whole park experience. I don't typically go out like now anymore to do that, but when my kids were younger, playing baseball and softball, I was there every single day, weekends, and I appreciate that. That you guys, the parks were in shape to play, and so this is not falling on deaf ears, but so I personally would look at that job of getting to know, like I said, each department and learning what their needs are, what their concerns are.
And I think the best way to do that is through your words. That's great, but action. And a continual support rather than comments that are, we appreciate it. And we really do. I sincerely hope that you did hear our statements, hear our members. And we provide vital essential services in this city. And it plays directly into your mission statement. And our members step up at every corner. These guys in the back row, I don't even want to tell you what they were dealing with today. They weren't even sure if they could make it because of the situation that they were dealing with out in the streets. But to make people healthy and safe and create further issues from occurring, they do what they do.
Without complaint.
Without complaint. So thank you for your time.
My role as a city administrator and chief of staff and serving the council, and I just wanted to say that appreciate you. Appreciate you all, appreciate all of our employees. Really coming here just to talk, one of civility is deeply appreciated. Talking to these issues, sharing concerns. And that's it for that.
Okay, now is the time for visitor comments. The visitor comment period is an essential part of local government meetings. Each person has 3 minutes to speak. The city council will take all input into consideration. However, in observance of Oregon open meeting laws, this is not the time for dialogue, but rather a time for us to listen. Our city administrator and city reporter are taking notes of action if needed. Thank you for participating in visitor comments. Please come forward and state your name for the record.
Thank you, Council President Hilton. My name is Stephen Toski, and I'm a citizen of St. Helens, and I'm gonna go completely off of what I thought I was gonna say and say something different. I don't want the message of these wonderful people to get mixed up about paying lip service and saying we appreciate you. The message I hear from them is that critical government services are underfunded, understaffed, that our vital functioning of what we need to do as a city is not happening right now. And I'm going to echo something that Councilor Gunderson said at the end of the last budget committee meeting. And that is, this is a process that should have been done from the very beginning. This is the way it should have been done all along. You have a very bright group of citizens that are trying to help this government wrestle what it is we are doing as far as our budget is concerned. And there were 108 YouTube views the last time I looked for our budget committee meeting. That's like a record. People are looking. And what the people saw in that is that budget committee members were asking for information, and they were told things like, for example, the basic of where are we now? How much money do we have now? Can we please get the amount of money we thought we would be able to spend and have that compared to the amount that we did spend? Where are our shortfalls? We are really trying to figure out the problems and help you as our leaders make great decisions for not only these people, but also the police union. And I think the frustration is they are very frustrated. This is me saying that it just doesn't appear to be happening. And so I would say this as the council, when your budget committee is saying we need to know where $20 million in miscellaneous is, we want to see line item comparisons. We want you to come forward with meaningful numbers at this next meeting. You need to tell John Walsh, our expectation is that it's gonna show up. It's not acceptable to have the problem not being able to be solved because we are doing the work to actually get the foundational elements. First thing is, how much money do we have? Where is our money? How are we spending it? How can we cut back? Where else can we go? So I'm asking you to make that direction today, make that direction in the work session so that we can have as meaningful a possible budget committee meeting, which is a public meeting. Anybody, you got my email, all the other budget committee members' emails are public. Send me whatever questions you have about the budget. And it's our job to bring those forward and to ask them and go through a very public process. That's what the process is about. So let's continue forward with the way it should have been all the time, to quote Councilor Gunderson. Let's move forward together, work together, and try to help all these people figure out where are we financially? What do we need to do? How do we make it happen? And so we can make intelligent decisions for the best. Thank you.
Please state your name for the record.
Nancy Sullivan, resident, single. Nancy Sullivan, age 60, Columbia County resident, 50 years. St. Helens resident, 40 years. I've been a person to process for accuracy the city of St. Helens LB 50 for municipalities and the city of St. Helens resolution for levy of property tax rate. I do not do this as a city employee. My job is outside of the city. These documents are required by local budget law. I then send these documents to the Oregon Department of Revenue for review. I've done this for the last 24 years. The ethical way to budget for funding a capital improvement when funds are needed, such as a building, its land and infrastructure, is voter approval for property tax bond. The ethical way to budget for funding services when funds are needed, such as employees to provide service, is voter approval for property tax local option levy. To implement directly through council decision a fee that could potentially take away by outpricing a human needed resource such as water, or to eliminate trained staff due to the outcry of another department shows lack of knowledge to who you serve, the voting citizens of this district. Please choose to be ethical and knowledgeable. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Margaret Trinchard-Smith. I'm representing the Kiwanis Club of St. Helens. There are a number of members of the Kiwanis Club. Would you stand up or even come up if you want to? Don, Stephanie, Jay, Judy, please.
I'll stand up.
Brian, thank you. All right, so we recognize that this is a time of budgetary stress, which can lead to division just when people need to unite. We're responding expressly to the letter recently published by the St. Helens Police Association. So here's my statement, and Judy, would you please share with me, because I'm going to say something general and Judy's going to say something detailed and granular. And I think these statements will complement one another. The Kiwanis Club wishes to express its support for Mayor Scholl and for Administrator John Walsh. We assume your goodwill and we consider you, from our experience, responsive and responsible administrators. The SHPA's call for Mayor Scholl and John Walsh to resign, to borrow a phrase from its own letter, is indeed a drastic step when more conciliatory measures might be taken to address its grievances. It would be destabilizing and chaotic, exactly what you don't want when addressing budgetary shortfalls. What they've called for. The Kiwanis Club of St. Helens is also here in support of Tina Curry, whose activities have also been questioned. Her efforts have made St. Helens a destination for cultural tourism with all the direct and indirect economic benefits that entails. Last October, I met a family that had traveled from Ireland to experience Halloween Town. Tina's efforts have added immeasurably to the vibrancy of the city. 13 nights on the river, our 4th of July celebrations, Christmas shifts, Halloween Town. It's hard to imagine the year without them. For the Kiwanis clubs, the Lions Club, and other service organizations, Halloween Town has become an indispensable source of revenue. In fact, among our many volunteer activities, it is the chief source. In 2023, Halloween Town provided $12,860 to our club in compensation for our volunteer hours, of which over $3,000 were shared by other participating clubs. Our mission is to support kids and youth and their families. The Kiwanis Club was a founding member of the Dornbecker Children's Cancer Program, which our club continues to support annually. We help fund the Dolly Parton Imagination Library for preschool kids. We provide thesauruses to 3rd graders. We help young people become more civic-minded through Key Clubs and CKI. We give college scholarships to outstanding high school seniors. We help in providing essential items to unhoused kids. We fund the Joy and Joy and Holiday Hope programs. If anyone in this room wants to find joy and meaning during the Christmas season, come and see the faces of parents light up when their cars are filled with bags of toys for their kids and food for the feast. The Kiwanis Club provides all these things and more, but we couldn't do it without volunteer hour funds, the largest source of which, again, is Halloween Town. Demanding the resignation of our mayor and city administrator, stopping Tina Curry as she's trying to line up events for the coming year. These do no good and a great deal of harm. Such drastic measures to local service organizations and to all of us. Let's find a more amicable way to solve the city's problems. Thank you for taking the statement.
My name is Judy Thompson, longtime resident, and I know many of you here. I do want to just start by saying I've been feeling this city stress from every angle. And I really appreciate hearing the Union 1789 come and talk today. Jenny and Heidi and where's Crystal? Thank you so much, because that really helped give me an overview of what I'm feeling. Please know I'm reaching out to all of you with sincere hope that more confusion, division, and lack of trust is not added to the state of what our city is in right now regarding tourism. We have a police department in major stress, a fire department in major stress. I know that's county. A waterfront that's torn up, potentially city employee layoffs, and I really get the bigger picture on that now. Thank you. City council is in major stress trying to rob Peter to pay Paul with our water bill. A public safety building that was flawed from the start and now sits as a pile of dirt. Our city manager and mayor are being asked to resign. Our city finances that are tangled with discrepancies with all the critical issues facing our city. To want to form a committee to evaluate tourism now for 2024 is not in anybody's best interest. It takes 10 to 12 months lead time planning a year, and this is January of 2024 already. A committee needs time to be formed, organized, and do research on an issue. Form the committee now, do the work for 2024, provide a decent evaluation for options for tourism in 2025. I want to reiterate that too, what Margaret stated. I know council knows that many of the thousands of dollars that go to nonprofit organizations for their volunteer time for Halloween, there's no other funding source for us. I mean, that's it, CERT, Kiwanis, a lot of different alliance, like you mentioned. And our city has had to pull the city grant program that we were having happen. I'm hoping and asking our city will give adequate time to form a committee that will have ample time to review and explore city tourism that will result in solid and respectful options for our city tourism. Please know I am seeking to understand and pay attention and see where positive action can be helpful. And this was very helpful to me to be here today. I feel we are at risk of being a lifeless and torn up little town off Highway 30, divided by not being able to fulfill the potential that we hope and know exists. So we got to work together.
Okay, anyone else like to make public comment? Okay, go ahead and come to the table and state your name for the record.
Okay, my name is Matt McHugh, and I'm a city sponsor through both Cascadia Home Loans and through Big Food Card and Brew. And I pretty much came just to give a testimonial to how easy Tina makes the sponsorship for me and how I quadruple my investment every year for being a city sponsor. I guess I would just hate to see her not get renewed. I mean, Tina puts butts in seats for me, and it's great, and I feel like she does a great job. I know my perspective is different than most of you guys. I live in Scappoose, but I run my businesses in all over Columbia County, and I feel like she does a great job, and she's an asset that if I were you all, I wouldn't want to lose. That's all I got.
Got your boot taken off?
Yes, I had no pain until I took the boot off. Now it's all
You're looking better. Welcome.
My name is Ron Tomlin. Silence is complicity. If you know the truth and don't use your voice to speak out against client privilege as an injustice to the public, your silence is complicity. John Walsh's client privilege of the Walker Consultant Report may not be criminal, but it is an annoyance. It contains the city of St. Helens' involvement with the 2 million gallon reservoir failure. The failure became the city's St. Helens concession of responsibility. The W49 contract contains it all: omission, ignore, and neglect. It begins with undiagnosed issues, potential problems, and areas of poor judgment. The city had control of the contract for rehabilitation that follows. It should be found as part of the Reservoirs Walker Consultants Report. 2009, 2 million gallon reservoir was noted with concrete surface softness. 2016, the city would not drain the reservoir. No prior testing of inlet and outlet piping. No interior investigation of the concrete surfaces prior to bidding. No access for the potential bidders to tour the reservoir's interior. Kennedy Jinks designed the plan without any investigation of the interior. Bidders were told to familiarize themselves with photos and drawings and follow the plan. WPI's contract would not start until October 1st with its 2016, the wet season. WPI had the challenge of facing moisture and groundwater infiltration. The original plan was a failure at $269,000. The plan required change orders and increased it to $477,000. WPI's work increased the reservoir's leaking to 74,000 gallons per day from the original 16,000 gallons a day in June 23rd, 2016. The reservoir drain line repair that wasn't done prior to bidding. This was a May 2017 repair that reduced the leakage by 32,000 gallons. Their investigation was hired to seek the 2 million gallon reservoir loss of 42,000 gallons a day. December 20th, 2017 led to the discovery that there was a lack of oversight during the geotextile mat and reactivine 760 application. No holiday testing of the bottom 1/3. The city had charge of inspection. BIC's assessment and observation of the liner and the consensus of all parties that the liner was not the cause of the excessive water loss. The reservoir's lining was having delamination showing bubbles of 1/2 inch to 3 inches in height. The city didn't grout the bottom expansion joints to save money. The reservoir continued to leak 44 to 46,000 gallons per day. The core sample was the revelation that the liner had detached from the concrete. The concrete surface attached to the underside of the liner. CTL Group stated that the liner detachment was the result of the forward flow of the line.
Colleen Oler, citizen, Queen of Halloween Town. I am so beyond upset with everything that's going on right now. The fact that you have to ask the definition of tourism. And all of these other council members, the mayor included, who's on vacation right now and shouldn't be at a time like this, did not once stop you and say it's 45,000 people that come from all over the world, not the United States, not the state, not the city, not the country, the world, come here to St. Helens to spend money. The only budget right now that works is tourism. It's the only one, and it funnels money into the city's coffers. That's what tourism does. It brings all these people to town to spend money. Maybe they're not staying in your little place up there, but they are spending money everywhere else. The place that you're building is not your building across from Apple. Oh, you can't say. The point is, that is what tourism is. And for you to question it and not renew a contract that benefits so many people in this town, in this state, is a crime. And for the rest of you not to say anything when you know and you have been here and you personally have been down there and seen the volume of people, and not to say anything about this is tourism is wrong. And for you to have 4 contacts, people called you 4 times for meetings to discuss tourism with you and you not bother to take the time to meet with them. You should be ashamed of yourself. I'm voting, I vote every year, and believe me, none of your names will be checked on my ballot next year. I'm absolutely disgusted. The only budget in this town that works is tourism. And money comes from them every single year to go into the general fund. All the money collected from our hotels, from visitors at our hotels, creates the base. Out of that, 70%, I'm not sure if it's 70 or 80%, has to be spent on tourism. The rest can go into the city. She then turns around and takes all that money and filters it through vendors and filters it through the guy from Cascadia, and winds up giving this city a check every single year. That's the only budget in this city that works, the only one. And for you to question it when you don't even know, perhaps that's not something you need to bring up at the meeting. Perhaps you need to talk to someone instead of stopping an entire process. You're putting my income in jeopardy. You're putting all of the vendors' incomes in jeopardy. You're putting the hotels in jeopardy. I went up and talked to the managers at both of them, and they are having a little freak out because of the fact that they're not going to be full. And if we have people come to this town and we don't have the events, we're never going to recover. Our events will never, ever recover, and it will be your fault.
Hello, Stephanie Patterson, St. Helens, liaison for Spirit of Halloween. I wanted to read a vendor email I got from one of my vendors. Didn't ask for it, but he'd been looking online. He didn't like what he saw online. Thought it was pretty ugly. Anyway, he said, "Hi guys, just came across some Facebook posts regarding 13 Nights Halloween Town, working with the city of St. Helens, and it looks like you guys have your hands full. I wanted to reach out and let you know we appreciate you and support you guys. Your show has been fundamental to our small business and helped us flourish in ways we didn't think we could get to for years, if at all. We are here if you need us for anything." That's Erica and Josh Queensland, and they've been with me for 3 years. This is their 3rd year. I'm pretty excited for them. They were newbies, and we like newbies because we can bring them along and grow their businesses with them. Okay, so I've been involved with Spirit of Halloween Town in its last incarnation for about 7 years. And I sent emails to Mr. Hubbard and Mr. Sundin to schedule a meeting with them in light of all the confusion and chronic misinformation surrounding Spirit of Halloween Town. Both replied. Mr. Sundin also reached out via phone on his birthday. And between us, we decided he would try to facilitate a meeting with Mr. Hubbard and later Mr. Gunderson. I'm assuming you're still working on that and you'll get a hold of me when it's set up. Mr. Hubbard replied to me directly that he didn't have time and would get back to me. That was 3 weeks ago. In the meantime, we are stuck. We are what sailors would call caught in irons. We can't move front, we can't move side, we can't move back. And what's happening is, as every day passes, we are losing 13 nights. I was thrilled when I listened to the union people and they talked about dialogue and what you don't know and how you need to get involved. And I was really heartened when Mr. Hubbard said, yeah, I want to take care of that. This is what you need to take care of this coming week. If not with me, it has to be with Tina. That's the be all and end all of it. We work on Halloween Town starting probably halfway through October for the next season, just to let you know. And we have the vendors that we take care of first because we need to know who's coming back. If they aren't having a good time, we want to know that. I want to know that because I run the vendor report. So once that is over, we get out the contracts to them probably the last weekend that we're open. Right now, what I should be doing is securing payments, their insurance, finding out what any special needs, are they got changes in lines? Is it going to cross with somebody else? How can I work that out? But what's happened right now is that myself and several employees have been laid off. That puts us behind. I've had emails from vendors saying, I really need an answer, Steph. I really need an answer what's going to happen this year. I can't tell you right now because I don't know. We're still working things out. I don't want to alarm anybody. I've had vendors say, okay, what I'm going to do is I have to fill out for fall shows. If something happens, I can give you up until the time I have to cancel and will not get any money back. So they're counting on me. They're counting on Tina. They're counting on you guys that we're going to somehow pull this together for them. That is huge that they are paying all these fees up front, betting on the contingency that because we've always been there for them, we're still going to be here. Every year we have complaints, and I know hearing from people, complaints in the city, it's the same ones every year. I've been doing this 7 years, and I can faithfully tell you that I have not seen a new complaint, accusation, sleight of hand on any of the Facebook pages that I have not been dealing with for 7 years. Tina's mean. Tina doesn't communicate. She's hard to talk to. I have no idea who she is. I don't know what her phone number is. They're all smoke screens. They're all smoke screens. It's the same people 9 times out of 10. When you figure we've got over 14,000 people, you're not talking to 150 people that are knocking on your door or on your phone every day of the week. Not even close to that. What's worse this year is that it's changed a little bit. The complaints, they're more vicious. They're more threatening, ominous sounding. They reek, absolutely reek of personal agenda. If anyone tries to defend Tina or to explain something, you're led down this rabbit hole of, well, so what would happen if this would, and you answer it directly and all of a sudden it's on, aha, so she has a personal agenda. No, it's just the way it is. You know, the great thing about community is when chips get down, you can really depend on them like we've seen today. But there's always going to be some people that have an agenda. And sadly, part of your job is to sort through those. And I don't envy you because it's rough. But I have spent 7 years betting on the council and the mayor to figure it out. And you always have. And so I know that somehow you're going to do it this time too. I just had to let you know what we're facing right now. And that's, we've got to get moving. Please, 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 okay, an extension of her contract. And this is where it's going to sound strange. We need, the community needs, I need 10 months. Because 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, that puts us right directly in line for the Spirit of Halloween Town. And that one event funds so much, 13 nights. The Sandcastle competition, which is amazing, and every year it gets stronger. You know, the people go out there and they see these things, and the conversations I hear, because I'm almost keeping my ears open, is like, who knew this was here? This is coming, these people are world class. Yeah, they are. Tina found them. I don't know how she does what she does sometimes. Sometimes I tell her she's on a mission from God. But anyway, that's from the heart. I know you guys are gonna pull it together because we have to. There's too much at stake. Thank you.
Anyone else in the room would like to make a public comment?
Hi, I'm Julie Pelletier, just a citizen. Money is important, obviously, but I got to see it from a different perspective, a personal experience. I was walking down Halloween Town. A little girl, 7, 8 years old, came running towards me, grabbed me. "You're a witch." And I looked at her and I said, yes. She remembered me from the parade. I don't know if she was local. I don't know if she was out of town, but the joy and delight and magic and the fun that was in her face, I can't even describe to you. I do the witch dance. It's local, the Cauldron Sisters. It's the funnest that we've ever had. It's all joyful, nothing evil. No need to be concerned. It's fun. But the joy on these kids and adults that dress up, and when they associate our town with fun and joy and excitement and lightheartedness, that's heartbreaking if it goes away to me. It's heartbreaking. That's one of the. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Steve Rodenmuth. I'm a resident, 175 South Second Street. I love living downtown. I love the activities, and 13 nights is my favorite thing. It does something for the part of the community that's not dependent. It's for the regular people. And to see all those old people and those kids having the time of their lives. Want to see if I can do something to save it. We chat with Stephanie. We're going to get together. I just want to help. Is there someone else I need to talk to, or is she the one? Or
She's a great start.
okay. And thank you for what you're doing. I see you don't get a lot of appreciation all the time, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks.
Hello, my name's Shauna Straub, and I realize we're in this very difficult situation, and I try to be very empathetic and see both sides. It's really unfortunate, the lack of, I feel that the city, talking to people, especially elders who I work with on a regular basis, is the lack of confidence in the community as a whole, for the lack of communication of things that go on within the city. I don't understand why we don't put things out for vote in regards to all the water bill increases, in regards to, we vote on our schools, but we're not voting on this police, building, which I think has brought a lot of, lack of confidence from several people that I've talked to. $15 extra a month may not seem like a lot, but it's a lot to seniors that are living on, fixed incomes, and the water bills in general are kind of a little atrocious. There's a huge discord about that. I'm really disheartened continually by the lack of, I don't know, camaraderie per se. I mean, for a community that shows to the world all this unitedness in regards to, we do these 13 nights, we do Halloween Town, we're gonna do this big riverfront. But then if you read about us in the papers and what's going on down here, I mean, it's embarrassing, honestly. It's really, really sad, and I don't feel like it has to be like that. I feel like there's a lot of egos that have really, really taken the forefront. There's a lack of any kind of, compromise, self-vested interest, and I don't have the answers. You know, we're all human, we're all fallible, none of it's perfect. But you know, I mean, I've got questions about tourism in general, but I also realize, you know, I'm not volunteering to be on the budget committee. I don't want to have to deal with all that. I realize that, you know, some places are one thing and one thing's the other. I feel like everybody thinks if we get rid of Tina, that all of a sudden, all this money's gonna show up and more police are gonna get hired. And from what stuff I have educated myself about, it doesn't really, that's just not gonna be that way. That's not how it transpires. I've been down here for years. And I definitely hear what the police are saying, and I do agree, they need more support. I think that they need a different building. Why we continue to push things in areas that are not probably feasible, it's unbeknownst to me. I mean, I have no idea. I've got major concerns about the lagoon that I've been very, very forthright about. I don't even know where that's at now because honestly, it's exhausting. I just feel like we are just one crisis after the next crisis and it's just hard and it's hard to watch. And I just hope that you guys can figure out something that's more collective, clearly on 2 o'clock on a Wednesday.
What do you think the week to be mayor?
Yeah, I didn't think it, so.
A lot of people, I'm not the only one that was irritated with the cops, so there's a lot of people there. First, I'll get to them in a minute, but I first wanted to start about the tourism contract. You need to sign it now, next week. As you've already heard, you're affecting this program. It is ridiculous. I don't care what Russ Hubbard says about it. You need to take your existing contract as it is and make it for another year. If you want to change something in the contract, great. Start now for 2025. You have a year to work it out, but to try and negotiate a contract and want to change, and this team is going to look at it, and we're going to make that, that's ridiculous. It is past the point. You need to sign a damn contract, and you need to sign it now. You know, this is not the first witch hunt on, you know, this is like round 6. I didn't talk to my aunt for a year over her tourism. And so, yeah, it really pisses me off because I've done it again and again and again. And it's just ridiculous. And all these charges, it needs to be signed. And then you can negotiate another contract if you want to make changes to it. And of course, this really started because of the police, frankly, because they want to grab our money. They think that this money is a big pot of money. We can just take it and spend it. And I agree that they need funding for more officers, not for a police station. But you guys need to be smarter. You made the same mistake that you did on First Street and had to sign an emergency resolution to fund it. And then you're turning around and you're doing the exact same stupid thing that you did with them by going on and not having a contract. Sign the damn contract this week. It is not complicated. There is nothing wrong with the contract. She's not stealing any money. This is a witch hunt. And if you want to make changes, go right ahead for next year. The second thing that I wanted to talk about was the police. As far as I'm concerned, January 10th is a day that will live in infamy. The police showed up to a roundtable discussion and asked for the mayor's resignation. And frankly, all of you spineless people didn't say a single word to defend him. And I was very disappointed in every one of you. Because you all know that the mayor makes no decision. And there wasn't a single one of you that defended him. And trust me, I can call for him to be resigned anytime I want. You know, I can be that asshole, but for the union to do it and for you not to defend him was frankly unexcusable. And now their idea is that, we're gonna add a $25 fee. And I was pretty irritated with you when you go, oh, I'll spend that at McDonald's. The people that are worried about the $25 are not going to McDonald's. They're going to the food bank. There are over 200 people a month that don't pay their water bill. And there's fewer than that are getting the water shut off. But the $25 to them is a big amount of money. And for us to put that on our water bill illegally is just wrong. And the union then thinks that, rather than doing the process of sending out a levy, which is what you need to do, we can just tack it onto the water bill. That's wrong. The police need more staffing and they need funding for staffing. And I thought that we should do the $10 fee for the staffing, but adding $25 to go to the station is not okay.
You need to get a levy, you wanna build a station.
Tammy Magra. There's been so many people ahead of me that spoke so eloquently, so I'll just get right down to it. Mr. Hubbard, I'm very disgusted that you would want to take away a productive tourism director. Before Tina came, there was no such thing as tourism. You had no events, like other people said. People are coming out and enjoying this. If you don't like Halloween Town, stay home. If you like it, participate. That's why we live in a democracy and a free country. And as far as the cops go, yeah, they need more patrolmen. I get that. Maybe a remodeled building. I get that. But for them to come in and try to backdoor and steal tourism money, it doesn't work that way. And as Brady said, each one of you, when the cops come in and ask for the resignation of the mayor, you guys did nothing. Shame on you. Every one of you have a vote. The mayor don't have 2 votes or 3 votes. Each one of you have 1 damn vote. So for you to sit there and not say anything, again, shame on you. Maybe there's been a few snafus in tourism, in events. Tina takes care of it. Like any big event, you're gonna have an issue, but it's dealt with. So what? Move on. She hires local people. She doesn't have to, but she does. She provides money for the nonprofits, which you've heard people talk about. That's a big income for them. So why don't you sign her contract, treat her right? How many times does she have to be audited? Every year. It's the same damn thing with you guys. It's over and over and over. You're beating a dead horse to death, and it's pretty, actually, I don't want to say stupid, it's ignorant, and it's uncalled for. Every one of you. You want to take the little bit of joy that people get in this town to come and go to an event, and you want to take it away. And as far as putting another $15 or $25 on the water bill, the last time I checked, we lived in a democracy. If the police want more money, they can put on a levy. You can do a levy for them. But you don't backdoor somebody and take away something that's successful. And that's about all I have to say before I get ready.
That's when they let Matt Brown put $3 to start.
Okay.
Greetings, so Jen Massey, and first of all, I know it's gonna be a tough day for all of you, so hang in there. I'm glad that you're here and doing what you can. I mean, it's not like you guys are being paid a good sum of money to be up here and be the fence post for a lot of this stuff. I wanted to talk about permits, and I wanted to talk about like the opportunities to improve. I think that's where a lot of things happen. I talked a while ago after the big Halloween Town parade. About the fact that a permit process needs to happen. I don't know if it has. I sent each of you today 502 documents that our nonprofit organization, sorry about that, that our nonprofit organization got to look at maybe what went wrong with the Halloween Town parade. Moreover, like how to improve it. And we figured you didn't have a copious amount of time to like dissect what was in the documents. First of all, we're huge fans of tourism, love it, despite what people may think. But there was some comments that were made that instantly right when they were made, on the 18th from the organizers, they were just wrong. And I knew that they were wrong for several reasons. But we wanted to get the documents so that we could look at that. There's quite a few things that are concerning. For example, like the permit being issued, obviously the police isn't a part of it. St. Helens Police was never on that permit, CCSO and CERT and OSP. But what you'll find interesting, based on the timeline I provided you, going through 502 documents, was the fact that the permit was signed by you, Mr. Walsh, not even after all the signatures, right? I think Mohammed was the last one, and you signed it, I think, second. But more so than that, is that that permit was issued and OSP and CCSO were never even contacted. That's evident from the emails from the sequence of events that I gave you with the chronological sequence of events. So they were never even contacted. It wasn't until after that permit was done. There were police there, St. Helens did what they were supposed to do. The process is the process. You guys aren't law enforcement. That's why you hire people to do it. Like, if they could have just requested for OSP, maybe they would have. They can't. There is email that I provided you that the tour or the organizer didn't have. Now, I don't think it's her fault. I really don't. I think she got put in the middle of this situation because there's a lack of permitting and validation on the permitting. There was a security company that was supposed to be doing it, and the emails you see from the timeline, that it comes back that they were just advising and having minimal, presence there. So I think we do a disservice by setting people up to fail. Like, we need to have these events, but we need to do them safely, and that goes with the proper planning and identifying the appropriate people on the permits and making sure that they're in place. We are lucky. That was a big event. Nothing went wrong. Hopefully we continue to have more events, but we're not going to be successful if we don't get the permit process figured out. You guys have all of the FOIA requests plus the timeline. Do you want me to submit this for the record, or would you like me to send it to you electronically because I could give this to Brady Freeheim.
Electronic.
Okay, so Brady, this is all yours. You win the lottery. Anyway, so thank you for that, but please work on that permit. I think it's gonna solve a lot of miscommunication issues.
Anyone else in the room who would like to make public comment?
Adam, thank you there. So first of all, thank you guys for doing what you do. You get zero respect, but you have a job to do. Your number one job is to protect your citizens. So at that point, I'm not gonna get claps from everybody when I leave. You have a job, you have a budget, you need to make it work. There's options out there to make it work. Get your police station, get your funding for your officers. It's there. There's an option there. I understand it's not the easiest thing to do. You can't please everybody all the time. But what you have to do is you have to use facts and logic to make your decisions. You have information that nobody else here has. Same thing with the Halloween Town contract. You guys know what's going on. You know what the legalities are. Not everybody does. Through our, FOIA request, we've seen some information that a lot of people don't have. That's obvious part of the situation. You guys know what you have to do to protect your citizens financially, liability wise, and all that other stuff. So, I hope you guys do what is best for all your citizens. And, thank you for what you do. Use facts and logic, not emotions and feelings. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no one else in the room, we're gonna move to Zoom.
My name is Tommy Sullivan, citizen of St. Helens. I sat here and listened to all this, and it's been pretty interesting. I thought about it beforehand, and there was a few things that I wanted to bring up. I kind of wanted to come in and kind of berate you guys, but I get it. I work in a position where I'm in management, and you guys are all basically managers, right? You guys are supposed to manage the city, and you're supposed to do it right, to the best you can, and for the citizens of our city, right? I sat here and I looked at all these things in here, right? I look at the city here, and I've lived here for 30 years, over 30 years, and I've seen a lot of things change over that time. And it seems like the way we're going right now is we're, I guess, following kind of in the footsteps of our federal government. We're just, lighting everything on fire and trying to put it out best we can. But I don't want to see our beautiful town turn to shambles. There was somebody up here that said, we don't want this place to just become a dive that nobody wants to come to, right? I looked at these pictures, right, of this beautiful riverfront that will be amazing when it's complete. But if you don't have anybody here, who's going to enjoy it? If you don't have any city employees to take care of it, it's just going to turn into a dump. And I don't understand how we can't make the right decisions. It seems like we're just making wrong decision after wrong decision. And I get it's hard. You got to make tough decisions. And sometimes you got to say, no, what's more important right now, right? But I'd like to continue to live here in a nice, safe neighborhood and, a safe community with all the beautiful things, right? All this talk about tourism, You know, I come down here, my wife volunteers, and I volunteered. I'm not the biggest fan. I don't like being around the thousands of people, but I don't come down here, right? That I avoid it, right? I come down here when I have to. But it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's just, that's not my thing, right? And to take that away because there's so many people that do, I just deal with it, right? You know, it is what it is, and it should continue. And if you take that away, all this is for nothing, right? So I guess that's pretty much all I had to say. Thank you.
Wasn't gonna speak, but I think as a Halloween Town vendor for 3 years, I should say something. Stacy and I run Soup and Co. I do have the clam chowder booth at Halloween Town. And I just want to say that vendors have been reaching out to me, asking me if I know anything. And they have expressed if Halloween Town doesn't happen, their businesses will end. Small businesses that support families with small children. For me, my kids are grown. My business helps put my daughter through college. As far as the parade goes, it's my understanding that Halloween Town, the parade is, yes, it happens during the Spirit of Halloween Town, but it is not organized by the organizers of Halloween Town. I'm not going to speak on Tina, other than if you're not going to renew a contract, now is not the time to not do it. You've had time to think on this for years. I mean, I did Halloween Town in 2019, 2022, and 2023. And in 2019, it was brought up that Tina might not get renewed. I think that's when she was renewed for, I could be wrong. Maybe it was during the pandemic. But now is not the time. So if you have somebody who can do it better, great. Let's just don't stop it from happening. Don't affect so many lives for it not to happen and a community for it to not happen. Give her another year if that's what it takes. Or get someone else who, if you already have somebody else lined up, great. Just don't stop this event from happening. It has to happen. So if it takes renewing her contract for that to happen, I think it needs to be done as a vendor. I'm speaking for myself and multiple other vendors who reached out to me in the last week about this subject, because we're planning for 2024. My calendar's booked for my events, and I have a month and a half to make up for it if I go to Halloween Town again. So, thank you.
Do we have people online?
Yes. Thank you very much, City Council. Thank you.
PC, raise your, or unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Petey.
Unmute. Hello, this is Eddie Dunton. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
I was on the budget committee and I no longer am on there, but where I'm coming from is I've been laid off before, and I know that you have to stop some things. You have to reevaluate some things. And maybe if something isn't making money, such as 12 nights on the river, maybe that has to be reevaluated for maybe not this year, but the following years. If the 4th of July is costing money that could be given to the library or the water department, I think that's more important until we can afford it or make it to where it makes money. And that's the same with Halloween Town. Unfortunately, there's a lot of rumors running around that last year in October, when you had to pave the sidewalks and that corner, it cost the city $60,000. Is that true? I have no idea. It was also a rumor running around that when you had to ask the contractor to quit, to take a little vacation during Halloween Town, the city also had to pay for that. Is that true? I don't know, but that's what's running around. So I think what needs to happen is everybody has these, it needs to, if the $100,000 that Halloween Town provided to the city of St. Helens was spent trying to keep Halloween Town open, then it was no profit at all. So something needs to change if that is true. But is there any place that we as citizens can ask, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of them, is this true? Different things that we hear. Is there any place we can go to ask if it's true or not? And also with Judy's talking about a committee with citizens and probably the city council and the budget for maybe not 2024, but 2025 to make everything profitable and not have us taxpayers on the hook for some of these events. That's it. Thank you.
Ready? Is there anyone else on there? TC. TC, could you please unmute yourself?
Hi, everyone. I wanted to reach out. This is Tina, your previous tourism director. I'm just going to answer Eddie's question really quickly, that everything she said is almost unequivocally not true. So there's that much information out there from someone that was on your finance, committee last year, which is a little bit concerning. But what I wanted to talk to today was that in 2006, the city of St. Helens adopted its economic goals and policies, among them being, with the city's history of being a very old town relative to Oregon's history, located on the largest river in the Northwest, tourism is a major target of the city leaders' plans for economic development. In 2016, the city brought my company on board to help with the tourism program. It's been a journey of creativity and collaboration, and it has not always been easy. Just 4 years ago, 4th of July was nearly canceled. 13 Nights on the River, the foundation closed, and no one wanted to really take on the risk of 13 Nights on the River. And Halloween Town was still trying to find legs, but we continued to work together, and 3 years ago, things catalyzed. Halloween Town is now an international destination. The hotels are full. Halloween Town tourism supports the very existence of many local shops and businesses. People have testified in hearings before council that they came to St. Helens for Halloween Town and then moved here and brought buildings and spent millions here. A film is being produced over the last 2 years that is now being sent around the world to film festivals. My husband and I are dedicated following all of our volunteers who work together to tirelessly bring this economic development through tourism. We all know that no one can please all the people all of the time. There are people in St. Helens who hate the idea of tourism. There are a small group of vocal people in St. Helens for personal reasons that may not like me. 2 years ago, I and my company were unjustifiably and untruthfully accused of financial wrongdoing, in fact, taking money from the city. These people who falsely accused my company demanded that my company undergo an extensive audit we were very happy to comply with this. We still are to this day. We provided all the documents that they requested. We answered all the questions that they asked. The result was a written report showing that we had at one point over $1 million of city's money that was turned over to the city. Halloween Town tourism runs in the black. It pays for everything. Not one penny comes from taxpayers on their water bill, their property taxes, or anything else. We will answer anybody's questions at any time if they request a meeting. The last time this happened, it resulted in an 18-month contract. My company planned and paid for with tourism funds all the tourism events for the entire year. We were again requested to go through an audit, and happily we complied, and again, all the money was accounted for. The money that I did not receive under my contract was in the city's coffers for reinvestment in tourism, and this is what the city wanted. My contract ended December 31st, 2023. My detractors have come forward again, and again, I and my company are falsely accused of financial wrongdoing. Some of these accusations are based upon the false accusation 2 years ago. In November of last year, I submitted a proposal to the city requesting a renewal of my contract, and I'm ready to go to work. E2C is as well, and I look forward to doing so. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on with our meeting. So we are gonna jump into our first discussion topic, which is our audit report from our city auditor, Connor Delaney from Polly Rogers and Co.
Virtually here.
Okay. There he is. Hi, Connor.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. Great, thank you very much. Yes, so a quick introduction. I'm Connor Delaney, Senior Manager in charge of fieldwork for the City of St. Helens annual financial audit. The year we're covering is fiscal year 22-23, so the year ended June 30th, 2023. Just here to report that all the field work is complete, all the testing and procedures and interviews with management and everything like that is done. Our file has been reviewed internally, and we're just waiting on some final, in terms of issuing the final signed reports, we're anticipating that'll happen probably sometime next week after one more final review occurs. But I am here today to present to the board, to the council, our kind of annual summary letter that I believe you were provided. So I will. It says I'm trying to share the screen, but it says it's disabled. It's possible. Okay, great. Perfect. Okay. So the independent auditor's report is there. The report that council was provided is our annual summary letter, which is here, basically provides kind of a basic overview of the audit process, what the audit is intended to accomplish and what our opinions mean, information of that nature. So I'll kind of just go quickly through the first bullet points here under the purpose of the audit. Our audit is basically conducted for the purpose of providing an opinion on the financial statements, to say whether or not we believe the financial statements are fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting standards and auditing standards, as well as specific Oregon municipal audit laws. And also, because the city has enough federal money, we also do a separate audit of the federal programs as well. So we provide a report on that. Just kind of a quick overview on how we go about our process and how we come to our opinion. Basically, we sample transactions, we talk to management, we talk to staff. We basically, every year, we update our understanding of the city's financial policies and procedures, making sure all those, the way that transactions are processing through the system are as intended based on the city's policies. So we look, we'll pull a sample of checks and credit card transactions. We'll look at receipts and deposits, payroll, bank statements, and that type of information. After we get done reviewing our sampling, if we see anything of note that, in terms of internal controls that can be improved, we'll let management know about that. We did not find any material issues with the city's internal controls, which is a very good thing. So moving on to the second page here. In terms of the specific results for 22-23, our audit opinion letter, which will be included in the final financial report, is basically going to be provided as what's called an unmodified opinion. It's a clean opinion on the financial statements. Basically means we didn't find any major issues or incorrectly stated balances. So very good news there. State minimum standards for audits, that's specifically related to the budget process. There's some other things that are in there, insurance requirements and things of that nature, but the main thing is budget. There were a couple things we were required to note where there were a handful of budget line items that were overspent in terms of the actual expenditures in comparison to the budget and any amended budgets. There were no funds, however, where the total budget to the fund was overspent. There were just a few items where the individual departments were overspent, which is we're required to report on that, but that's a pretty common thing that happens with governmental agencies. So the final report will include those, but it's not a major something to try to prevent in the future, but in general, it's not really a huge issue. In terms of federal rewards, federal grants, the COVID stimulus related grant was the main one we looked at, but we did not find any issues or we had no material findings related to that. So that was very good news there. And management letter, we have no separate management letter. So if we did find material issues with internal controls, we would actually provide a whole separate report and detail those, but there was nothing, we never found anything that rose to the level that needed to be disclosed in a separate letter. So very good news there. The rest of the letter is kind of just standard informational items. If anyone has questions on that, I could kind of go through it. It talks about some upcoming new auditing standards and accounting standards that potentially will impact the city in their future reports. GASB standards is what they're called, basically. If anyone has questions on those, I can try to go over them. Other than that, I have here basically, this is the overview of what the independent auditor's report will look like. This is our opinion, which, as I said, was unmodified. This is kind of the area where we say that, in our opinion, the financial statements are fairly stated. So other than that, yeah, the audit went well, and I just want to take a minute to thank Gloria and all the staff in the accounting department at the city. Everyone was very nice and easy to work with, responded to our requests in, a timely manner and had all the information well organized, which is always much appreciated. And other than that, I guess that's pretty much all I had on the report. Other than that, I'm also thank council members that took time to respond to our questionnaire and provide their input on internal controls. The final report will be issued next week. So if anyone still hadn't filled one out and wants to, they still can, if there's anything they want to let us know about. But other than that, everything for the most part looked good. And 22-23 is about to be wrapped up. So with that, I can basically put it out there. If anyone has any specific questions, I can go over those.
Does anyone have any questions? Could you speak to a little bit about, your process of looking into, like when you ask city councilors for their concerns? What's that process look like behind the scenes?
Yeah, so if counselors have any specific, if there's any, if there's any areas that they bring up that they feel like there's a real potential for a material problem, we will do essentially, we'll take a look at that, and if we need to follow up just to make sure that we have a full understanding of what they're saying the issue is, we'll potentially follow up. But we, if it appears that there's flagging an issue that the way that certain transactions are being recorded, we will do additional sampling and additional testing on those types of transactions, basically, just to verify, if we can find anything based on what individuals have pointed out of potential weaknesses in the system or problem areas or some, things of that nature. So yeah, if anything is flagged as, potentially for a major problem, we'll definitely look into it further.
I don't have any further questions. This is obviously a public document that people can review if they wish to. So thank you, Connor.
Yep. Thank you guys very much.
Okay, we're gonna move into municipal court. We have Judge Lindgren here, so go ahead and take the floor.
Oh, thank you. So I have to state my name for the record too. So Amy Lindgren, the municipal court judge here for St. Helens. I guess I put together a somewhat short report because I think things are going really well, as they have been for a number of years. The court clerks, attorneys are phenomenal. They work so hard to keep things moving and operating efficiently. So kind of the big news for us at the end of December was Tina Kotek's remission order that followed former Governor Brown's remission order. That was very frustrating. And so with the line items, we finally calculated the amount of write-off that will be written off as $137,448. Now I don't know how much of that, we'll never know how much of that would have ever been realized, how much people would have actually paid on their fines and fees for the traffic. But that is the final number for this year. That is a loss for the city. And our numbers are pretty consistent from last year to this year. The traffic is definitely lower, the traffic violations. And, I think that given the staffing with the police department, I think that is an explanation. The ones that I primarily see are driving while suspended, driving uninsured cases.
DUIs, I've seen that.
And DUIs.
DUIs.
Yeah, lots of DUIs. But for the violations versus the crimes, the driving while suspended and driving uninsured, and those are the people who generally are not paying, they're suspended because they're not paying their fines and fees in other courts.
For those big balances that were forgiven.
That are then forgiven. And then they get their, at some point, I guess, if they do get their license back, then hopefully they move forward in a positive direction. And I believe that was the governor's goal. I had put this pan for the photo radar from Tiger up there, but I suspect it's probably not a good time. And so maybe we just put that on back burner for a few
I
minutes.
looked at it, it looks like a great idea when the time's right.
When the time is right, and I think that the time is probably not right. So we can just put that on the back burner. But I do just want to reiterate how grateful I am for the support of the council last year and with our court clerks, how hard they work, and just a professional, basically our whole team is the attorneys and human clerks. We just really do a good job. And I said this before, but this is my favorite city to work for. And it really is the community of people here and all of you. So thank you. So I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Anyone have any questions about her report? I know, Sam worked on it also.
Yep, he's at the end, I think, of the report, yeah. And his numbers are consistent with mine with the cases he's processed. And I think he touches on the 13 nights. That was, events, but that's not, not something I would be involved in as far as planning. And he is in another court today, Wednesday's his day, to be a bit different, he is charged. Which is why you haven't physically seen it.
The traffic camera. We.
Yeah, I think that, it would be something probably the police department would look into. And when I looked at some of the numbers, towards the back of that packet from Tiger, looks like it definitely brings in, a pretty substantial amount of money. But I do see that the ending program balance is progressively going down, so I'm assuming it's paying itself off. And so, I can try to find out what the initial investment is. But I think that the initial investment is probably pretty large, which is why it probably isn't a big time for right now, but that in time it pays for itself. And then the benefit for traffic safety is huge. There are other options too, instead of installing it like just specifically on that, at a specific intersection, is to get those other almost carts that have it, that moves around to different locations. Those are all over the place in Beaverton. Thankfully I have not invested yet, but that's another way for safety and traffic enforcement is to get one that it would probably be, and I don't quote me on this, less expensive of an investment, but would have a good impact on traffic safety. My concern is just that intersection of those buildings, the buildings going up, that it's really busy area. And that, pedestrian traffic there and school, that it could become, unsafe. But if it is something that the council is interested in, like, put the police department and the council in touch with Tiger and the other cities. So
Anything else? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Amy. Okay, so next up on our agenda is to talk about the police service fee discussion. Sure, what we have.
Yeah, Gloria has a handout.
Gloria has it? Okay.
For you and walk through the information that you had requested at your last meeting.
Thank you for getting that to us, Gloria. Sure. You want to just walk us through?
Sure, this is based on what you had asked me to provide, just an information on what phasing in an additional $15 fee would look like. So I phased it in by starting in March at $5 and then $10 in July, and then another $5 in January 1st of 2025. So this is what the result of that type of phasing. So this is just an example. So on my notes there, if you hired 3 entry-level officers, 1 to fill currently vacant position, and 2 additional, would cost approximately $570,000 annually. The monthly cost of entry-level officer is approximately $16,000 equipped. That's a month. So we know from experience that the hiring process takes a couple of months at least. And a phased-in approach would cover monthly cost and provide for possible lateral hire. This would also cover the cost of retiring officers. So, we know that the retiring officers, 2 of those will cost about $240,000. So we need to factor in that when we're working on our budget. Let's see. Then, so providing the growth in new dwelling units equals 1% annually. So that's pretty conservative, but right now our growth has kind of stagnated. So it's conservative, yes, but I think we need to be conservative because all else considered, we're not growing very fast right now. And so providing that the growth in new dwelling units equals 1% annually and personnel costs increase 4% annually, the $15 monthly fee would provide for 3 fully loaded police officers through fiscal year 2032, based on my calculations.
32.
Alternately, just for maybe some discussion and for some thought. There could be the potential of, for instance, when you adopted the 2024 budget and adopted the $10 fee, public safety facility fee, there was enough in that for 1 year for the fiscal year 2024 to hire 1 officer. That was only funded for 1 year. However, if we were able to phase in and utilize a portion of the already $10 fee to go for hiring officers and do more of a slow approach, and the rest of that fee stay with the facility to pay for the debt service while we find another way to fund the either the services or the debt service, such as a tax levy.
That slow approach would furnish how many officers though, and how quickly?
So tentatively, and I haven't looked at this in detail, yes. But if we went ahead and opened it up to hire 1 or 2 officers now, and potentially that's going to take 2, 3, 4 months to actually hire that position.
Probably a year before they're on the road.
Correct. Well, we're still paying for them though.
Right.
Once we've hired them, we're paying for them. Then we're still collecting the fee and it's still accumulating, right? We're paying debt service, yes, but there's still a little bit left over. And so that would give us time, utilizing a portion of the current fee for officers and the portion, the rest of it for the debt service. That would allow us time to go to the voters for a tax levy to pay for one or the other.
And tax levy by this November?
That would be preferable, yes. I don't think that that's a supermajority on the November elections. I'm not sure on that. I believe the May election would be a supermajority, which would be less likely to be successful.
Lori and I have been meeting to, how are we gonna address this pending wave of retirements, and how can we get officers now? And what is their budget capacity to do that? With all these declining revenues and all the doom and gloom out there, and what, you know, the one option that we came up with is, and it's largely to do with, you know, project funds that are sitting in there that are collecting interest in the pool that offsets some of the payment to some degree. So if we can expand the definition for use of those funds to pay for the facilities that actually help pay for officers now, that would allow us more capacity with what's already been collected this year, end of the year, and then going forward next year, it'll buffer itself out to some extent.
How is that get funded?
So
How would that be funded?
basically Mr. Walsh is saying is that the interest earnings on the account where the money is sitting from the bond.
Right.
That those loan proceeds are sitting in the bank and they're collecting interest, they're making interest. And because the interest rates have been favorable the last couple of years, there is some funds available there that would help jumpstart our process, so that it would be able to fill that gap.
And that's including if we were to tap with these loans? Or is that separate from the?
This is a separate idea. Mhm. Yeah.
How many officers would that allow us?
Like, it's the same scenario that I just said. If we were able to go out to start hiring 2 officers now, we could probably fund that through 2025.
Without basically any.
But we would need to work on immediately filling the gap so that
Retirements.
right. And then 2, I want to be clear that this doesn't help our other problem of where we lost Cascades and all of those other issues that we're working through now too. It would be a separate issue.
Russ, what do you think?
Ready to speak?
I know how you feel.
Yeah. Can we even afford the retirement cost the way we're going right now?
We have budgeted for that and we are budgeting for that, for the retirements. It's a cost, right? And so what we're working on, and the idea of using what we've built up in interest revenue and using that and using a portion of the current $10 fee, we could cover those retirements. You know, excepting if all 4 of them retire, like they have alluded to, you know, then we're back at square one. But we could do a couple officers, we could do a couple retirements and have those funded.
So per se, you don't have an accrual retirement of all the police.
No. That's why it's beneficial to maintain a 20% reserve. To be able to deal with those kind of issues.
One thing that I was frustrated with, which because I asked police why you can't go get someone on and hire them because you know this retirement's coming. And they said, well, we don't have the funds to do that. And I equate that to business. Like if you need somebody, you go train them and you get them trained. You make that effort. But we basically have the police in chains. They can't move ahead with their program.
Yeah.
And I think we've got to look at that and And, these two avenues aren't really exciting to me. So. It's just looking at the solution that, where the money is. There's two avenues there. Discussion.
Same thing, I just think that three members of our budget committee here, we had 4 here earlier, I think we've got a talented group this year. Really dive into things, I would like to have them take a look at this too. Already picked on my McDonald's comment, but I would follow that up with, to me, $25 is something I can do, it's something I'd be willing to do, but for a lot of people, it is hardship. And we've seen that just most to us that this would be a big hardship for a lot of people, so not something I want to jump into. It is an option. Grateful, Gloria, for the information here, but I would like to like some more eyes to look at it.
Somebody, if it was a hardship for somebody, I mean, literally meant that they were going to eat or not eat. Is there a way that we could, give them a break on that?
There's a grace period in this.
And we do provide some funding to the action team, which can also help with utility bills.
I know that PUD, we have a program.
PUD has a glow program. Yeah, there can be programs and standards to get to. Also the issue of discrimination.
Right, there's
You're not allowed to do it.
Right.
Directly had to do it.
Right, by giving kind of the funds to like.
Yeah, there would be the opportunity for council to do a policy of like a low income application that reduce the fees for qualifying. There's there's several ideas that could be implemented to address that. But as you've heard today, probably going out for a tax levy would be the better way to go about it. The less it would be more transparent, and it would be more community accepted or not. You would know through that way. Just setting a fee is not going to be popular. We all know that.
We could set a fee and go out for a levy though.
Good.
That's also an option. Well, we could set a fee to satisfy emergent needs and then put out a levy to continue providing service.
And then discontinue the fee.
Yeah. There's lots, we
Another
can,
option.
just to be totally transparent about where my brain is at, is I'm hopeful that we can drop the fee once our city's economy gets a little bit better.
Right.
And that's always an option too, that we can, as a council, drop the fee.
I've thought about that as well, but how far out do you set that, like 2 years, 5 years, where do you draw that line? That's the tricky piece.
Well, we will definitely, if we decide to move forward with this, we will definitely hear about it. And we'll continue to probably hear about it for a long time, so I don't think we'll forget about the fee anytime soon.
So as an example, the recreation fee, we initially put it on at $2 and it had a sunset clause in there that was sunset after a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And the city honored that.
Once the program became sustainable.
And then it's just what it needed to get going and become sustainable and get the grants and worked fairly well. I'd say that, but we're just trying to bring you options. They're all different ones. It's zero impacts to every decision you make. This is just one way to essentially get going now, get some people advertised, get them hired. Because, you know, we haven't had the luxury of doing succession planning like we like to do. It's not an uncommon problem. So overhire, they basically might have the capacity to do it.
What would it look like if we, because we're talking about adding $15 on top of the 10, correct? To get to 25.
That's what this
Right.
contemplates.
What
yes.
happens if we add 750 instead, and kind of happy medium?
Well, it would probably,
I
yeah,
mean, it's not gonna be, that's not gonna be liked by anybody either, but it's a
Right.
little bit.
I can certainly run those numbers for you and do, you know, a number of different scenarios. Whatever you direct me to.
Right. And this is, you know, just looking at 3 officers. So this is a temporary.
Yes.
You know, very large problem.
Now, when the officers retire, I just want to make sure that I'm clear on this, those salaries open up, and then we can hire on those as well, right?
Right, yes,
But we
and
can't do that until those officers retire.
And that's a good point, because the retiring officers, of course, are at the higher pay scale, right? Natural. And if we're hiring, incoming or entry level police officers, where we've got to send them to training and all of that, then yes, we're hiring at a lower pay level. And, so we do have that little cushion.
But not until that, you know,
Right.
that officer retires. So you still gotta have kind of like this money set aside to make sure it's a seamless transition.
Right, and the cost I'm talking about of the retiring officer is, paying off, leave accruals, things like, vacation accruals and those types of things. And then there's other, things that you have to pay for, in a lump sum for a retiring, employee, so.
Well, I certainly want to do this thoughtfully, and I certainly want to give them what they need to be successful, right? I mean, and how we work that out. As long as we're thoughtful about it and comes to the only, like, we have to do this. This is the reason we're doing it is because we need to replace these people, right? And doing it as responsibly as we can, given the financial situation, right? That's the way I'm looking at it.
The idea of a public safety fee doesn't scare me off, but one thing that makes me think a little bit is just looking at lots of public safety fees around the state. There's lots of places that do them. A lot of them are $4, $2, very small amounts, and so 25, I don't know if it is, but it was the biggest that I've seen by far.
Right. To kind of put that in a little bit of perspective, a lot of those that you see around the state that are, $3, $4, even $5, they have a higher tax rate, permanent tax rate. And that permanent tax rate is what pays for your general services, including police, library, all parks, all of that is all paid from property taxes. Again, City of St. Helens has a really low tax rate. And so surviving on that tax rate, gives us the need to supplement that with something else. So, you've got the fee that you've done for the, public safety facility, and utilizing some of that for an interim. But still, I would go back and recommend that you do try to get a levy, a tax levy, and do it that way.
So I started to work on, we had meetings about a few months ago, with the chief and everything. Our officers in place.
You know, the timelines, I remember we talked about timelines, but. Soon that process needs to begin.
I don't know.
We did talk about timelines. I don't remember exactly what the round dates were.
I know for sure it wasn't, we wouldn't be able to get it done by May. And that seems to be preferable anyway because of the super majority, right? So we'd have to be shooting for November. The problem with November, the there's arguments that that's also presidential election, the lot of sheriffs coming up to, if they're gonna have a jail levy, there will be a lot of competition surrounding. Not to say that we couldn't. My understanding is too, there would be polling and there would. It was a pretty intensive process. It wasn't just, we write it up and we put it on. Unless I'm misunderstanding.
That was my takeaway as well, that there's, it's a lot of work and then staff can't help at a certain point once it gets filed, so.
Right.
Actually.
Once it gets filed, then.
That's committees.
There can be.
So we would look into making some committee.
Councils have a lot of latitude, you know, but support.
Mhm.
And I think that could be the way to go. Sustain this for a while.
I think that my concern is that, we are running out of time to make a decision. And since I've been on this council, I've never been one to kick the can down the road. So I think we need to kick this up to the, regular session this evening and make a decision.
So. We'll put that up, the action items for tonight, but. What we're talking about, what we can do now within this budget year is that if we bring an amendment to how the public safety funds can be used. We can, and there's consequences to it, but we can. If you can authorize hiring probably 2 officers right now, and we go out, start advertising, try to get those people forward. And where that pushes out on the other end is the ability to pay down the note on the bonds, to pay down the bonds, and the other side is going to have an impact there, so there'll be less project funding available, essentially, but we have some ideas around that too that we can talk about maybe at another time. But you could do that. Do it tonight.
And I hear what you're saying about it's gotta come from somewhere. And I think that's where we need to get creative, and we have assets and we have things that we need to look at. We have to pay our bills. We gotta pay our bills.
You're welcome.
All right, we're gonna jump into John's report. The administrator.
No breaks, however, going forward here.
Well, might as well at this point, right?
Sure, yeah, sure. All right, well, thank you. President and council. It's really been pretty rough lately. The disharmony and intent that's been kind of sown out there in the community is kind of caused a lot of division. I hope that some of what you heard earlier today can help bring that back together and create a perspective that we serve all the people, care about all of our employees. They're all important. They're all functioning, doing good things. And I'm super proud of them. And I'm also in my role I do a lot for the police. I mean, I'm the project manager for the police station. We're working legislation. Last meeting, you talked about moving away from the Castro Road site, so we're already looking at alternative locations, engaging with property owners, meeting with our design team. Standby right now. We've paused all works. We're not spending money, but we have a construction manager and a design team, and we've got a contractor selected to move forward construction. Looking at ways that we can recycle the existing plans. It's typically there's an opportunity to salvage the amount of investment we have in this facility as it's designed. It can pick it up, put it somewhere else that's very suitable. That's a good savings for the project. Maybe take a look at some of the architecture to see if it fits as well in different locations, but there's an opportunity to save with that. Other things about contract language, working with our legal counsel and labor union on their cost of living, this callback language, are all things that are important to making this what feels like an inevitable kind of thing where we're gonna have a time when we're not gonna have enough officers. We need to have some callback pay and the ability to bring them back if we need them to shift scenario, which might be an inevitable. We should hear hire enough officers. Lori and I have been beating our heads trying to just find solutions and make really difficult choices, and it's really hard. And that's my single biggest takeaway is just how valuable industry is to our community. It brings so much jobs up the tax base, the revenue from electricity and the water and the sewer and all those things are just super important to our community. And when they leave, and when Boise left, when Armstrong left, and now Cascades left, I mean, it's really literally millions and millions of dollars that's out of our annual budget. It's challenging. In our communities, that burden gets, there's nowhere else to shift it onto the ratepayers and constituents, and as well as just reduce services, so we can align our revenues with our expenditures. So getting industry is paramount. That you have on your tonight, you have an extension with the Sprint project and that letter of intent. We're having intense conversations. Sprint spending money with PGE. It's looking good. Really, that emphasizes another weakness in our area is the lack of available electric transmission lines. No dig on the PUD, but whatsoever. It's PGE. It is PGE. PGE serves PUD their transmission lines. So there are opportunities for fixes. And we have a very big line just about 4 or 5 miles out of town that we can connect to and solve every issue and not have to say no to these big businesses that want to come and locate and have high electrical usage, lots of jobs, and lots of tax base. But it's, it's just feel like we're in that middle finding our way to this. The waterfront's important, tourism's important, industrial is just where it's at. That's we're not distracted by all these other great things. We're really putting as much focus as we can on bringing industry back. The Cascades tissue that the mill site is seeing a lot of interest from people that want to restart the mill, that want to tear it down and do something different. Sprint's here as well. There will be some revenue coming out of machinery and equipment that Cascades left that we negotiated. That will be some benefit. So that's an opportunity for some one-time revenue potential fairly soon. Next couple weeks, we kind of figure out what we're doing as far as auctioning and restarting machines. Bring back a work plan around that because there's a lot of variables that are really appreciative of Roy Moore and his services and experience at the mill, and this guy through some of that. Other than that, the tourism, you've heard a lot of chatter about tourism. Data on Councilors Hubbard and Sundin and I met with our attorney Peter Hicks on this and contractor agreement, taking whatever comments and criticisms he wanted to see out of the new contract. Peter's working on that. Monday, he has promised us a draft for review back by Friday. And, there's something to do before then. Which action you want to take? If you want to extend the existing contract for a certain amount of time to get people back. I think that would be a verbal action item. We can just roll that forward in the meeting if you wanted to do that. It was for a few months or 6 months or even however long as you want. Okay. Questions or?
Friday we'll have a contract.
Friday we'll have a draft for review.
Draft. That can be turned around.
Potentially. Vetted by all sides.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. But I mean, it's not a total new contract either. It's just some clarifications. Liability of the city, essentially. So, yeah, we can get it done.
can we do a verbal, and extend the current contract? And then we'll look into this. That way we can get the ball rolling, we can get everything so that they have what they need to get things going, set up for the year.
Right.
And then roll it into the next contract.
He's got to accept it. I mean, he's got to go through all the parties.
Could extend
That
the
old
the
contract.
existing
Yeah, you can take-
expired contract for a certain amount of time.
That, but you could do-
No, that's not that, no, we misunderstood, no, I was saying like, let's get the tourism thing going, let's get the contract signed. Extended till whenever, everybody, all parties can agree on the new contract, and then the new contract gets signed, and that's the one that will continue. It's either that's my take on it, or it's either that, or we just sign the contract now, and then we look at doing it for next year, but if we can get away with doing it, getting the ball rolling, getting people their jobs back, getting the tourism back, getting this new contract ratified, everybody's happy with it signed, and it's transparent and all that, and then we move forward with the new contract. I think that would be probably the best outcome for at this point.
Sad that during our meeting with Peter, he went over the proposal. He was very favorable with it, I felt, and thought there were some very good things in there, things that should have been in there, so I got the impression that he felt good about it. And there'll be a few tweaks probably that when he gets it back to us, but my hope with this whole thing was to answer a lot of the concerns that have been coming up year after year. I don't think there's any wrongdoing. I don't think Tina's mishandling funds. I think she's created an amazing program, and I hope she will continue with this. But if we can fix and answer some of those concerns that continue to come up over and over and over again, let's do it. Let's not keep kicking it down the road. I feel this will be better for the city. This will be better for our contractor. And I hope it will be better for everybody. So see what we get back on Friday.
How do you feel about temporarily extending the current contract?
I would be okay with getting people going and moving and back to work. I know people, it takes planning, it takes time to plan these things. I understand the timing for this wasn't ideal. I wish 6 months ago we would have known that this was coming up. I didn't, maybe I should have, but yeah, I would like to see a new contract put into effect as soon as possible.
I agree with that as well, but I still want to get those to the ball rolling.
I think something that Counselor Sunday just said was something I was gonna bring up, which is that the timing of this contract is impeccable every time it comes up. Is there a different time that this contract should be up for annual review? It makes no sense, or, 2-year review, whatever the extension is of the contract. The timing is just the worst time.
It would make sense to me in the middle of the year.
Yeah, there's been this calendar year versus fiscal year in the finances and all of that around independent contractors, normal calendar year in our finance on the fiscal year, June 30 year. Yep.
I just feel like I feel like we didn't get, I didn't per se have any issues with the contract. I was part of the revision of the last contract, but new counselors having the opportunity and the time to look into things if they want to. I think, having time to do that, and they didn't have much time, and then it became a kind of train wreck of events, so. Looking at the timing may be helpful in the future of changing that time when it's reviewed. Every contract gets, goes under review. It doesn't mean that there's anything negative. It means that there's changes and things that need to be addressed, or concerns that people have that need to be looked at. And I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. That's what we're up here for. So we're up here to look at things and ask questions. And just because they're not the questions that you want, doesn't mean that they're not valid questions. So, that's my thought. I'm perfectly okay with extending the current contract until the new contract is out and is proved. Is that the direction that you needed?
Well, it would be an action item at the meeting.
Sure. We'll put that there.
Being certain might be 3 months or 6 months might be a better.
Dealt with these contracts before, but you probably have a better idea of turnaround time, how soon the new one would be ready.
They always take longer, everything takes longer.
If we were to say 3 months from now, or it's 3 months, but now seems like it would be enough.
What would take 3 months is my question.
Just the back and forth negotiating.
Details.
Already for both parties, so.
And it shouldn't take that.
It looked like that builds in a little time, right?
That's. Or within.
I would just say 6 months. Just say 6 months and then when the new one goes into play, we can terminate the other one.
What do you guys think?
It's my wish that we, once the new one's approved, that it goes into effect as soon as possible, however that can happen.
I would agree with that.
And so we can set a temporary timeline though.
Say like not later than.
Okay, what that?
Not 6 or 3.
6. No later than 6, and then if you guys have concerns, I mean, we are gonna be seeing the contract as it is a working document, right? So. Hopefully you guys can also, take up your concerns.
More feedback, the better.
Yeah.
We had citizen feedback, we took a lot of what was already there and bit the wheel, but. I talked to Stephanie, talked to a lot of people that have been involved, so. I say, I hope this will be better for everybody.
And they've looked at the contracts. At that time, a little bit, what's in it, they have not. Okay, I don't.
It hasn't got there yet.
Okay. Longer, well, I was just curious, I thought it was a little way back. Maybe 6 months.
Anything else, John? Okay, well, we're gonna adjourn this meeting and we're gonna take a break before we go into executive session. We're going under executive session under ORS 192.660. Here complaints or charges brought against a public official, real property transactions, and counsel potential litigation.